this is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and now for something, well, completely different. Yeah, it's a Chromebook, but yeah, it's also a ThinkPad. That's pretty unusual combination so far. Well, you know, Chromebooks have been kind of notebook by Fisher-Price, a little cheap, a little cheesy, except the Chromebook Pixel, which was inordinately gorgeous and wildly expensive too. Well, this one here marries the ThinkPad design and the Yoga together too. Imagine that. We're going to look at it now. Well, here's something you don't see every day. A Chromebook that's built like a tank and doesn't look like, well, something that's meant for either the K through grade 6 program or for the budget section in Best Buy, because this is a ThinkPad also. It's not just a Chromebook. This is Lenovo's ThinkPad Yoga 11e Chromebook model. So ThinkPad Yoga, we've seen the ThinkPad Yoga before on the ThinkPad Yoga, which is a 12.5-inch Windows convertible. This time it is here in Chromebook land. Now it yogas, so it does this. It does the tent mode, it does the presentation mode, it does the full tablet mode. And it has a touch screen. You know, Chrome OS isn't wild in its support for touch, but it's not too bad at this point, so it all works out pretty darn well. I'd almost call this, given the wonderful keyboard on this, the rugged design, that ThinkPad look that's, you know, businessmen kind of love, I'd call this the Chromebook for adults, except for, notice the EDU series over here sticker? Lenovo sees this as being something that schools will buy into, because schools so far have been some of the biggest buyers of Chromebooks. Sure, mom and pop and uncle and aunt go in and they try one out at Best Buy, maybe buy it because $250 or $300, not too much of a risk. Sort of like the old netbook craze, and I'm not sure how well it's sticking with the average consumer, but in schools it makes a lot of sense. Kids can't mess up the operating system. It's all working perfectly on the network. Lockdown, you can't install your own apps, just Chrome extensions on it. So it's been very good for schools so far. But the thing is, especially if you're thinking about, well, your average fourth grader or so, they're not always so gentle with their tech. Now, I know some fourth graders are really, really careful, but not all of them. So the idea here is the spill-resistant keyboard, the rugged build and design that we know and love from a ThinkPad, passed a mil-spec test for dust and ruggedness, shock, vibration, which it should because there's no moving parts in here. This has a 16 gig flash drive in here. But anyway, sturdy, 0.87 inches thick. So it's not the skinniest guy on the block, certainly. But no Chromebook so far other than the Chromebook Pixel, which will set you back $1,200 or $1,500, has been much of a looker. And obviously we have it in tablet mode right now. Keyboard exposed, but key input is ignored when it is in yoga mode, like most all yoga products. This is not like the ThinkPad Yoga Windows machine that actually has the lock and lift keyboard that locks down, so this one will move. Likewise, the trackpad will move, but it too is ignored. Same robust kind of Lenovo hinges they use on all of their yogas. This thing is pretty darn sturdy. So yes, you can use it as a tablet, like so. Accelerometer, so you can use it in portrait mode, you can use it in landscape mode. You can use the touch screen on it. Now, even though Chrome has not been the best for supporting touch overall, it's not too bad right now. So let's launch the web browser and we can see right here, this is our desktop. And here's the web browser. So I can do things like scroll just fine. Really no need for pinch zooming here. 1366 by 768 resolution in an 11.6-inch display size, which is a fine resolution for a screen that's relatively small and for something that sells for $455. This is not a $1,000 plus convertible machine here. So what about the keyboard? If you type over here, it knows, it pops up the on-screen keyboard that we have it in tablet mode, so, you know, sorry, you can't use the keyboard, the hardware keyboard, obviously, so that works out pretty well, too. Web page load times are good. Pinch zooming on this is also fine. And one thing that is particularly nice is the display. Almost uniformly, other than the Chromebook Pixel, and there was one HP Chromebook that, until they revised it, had a pretty nice display. Other than that, they've been pretty mediocre TN panels. This is a nice IPS panel. Viewing angles on this are quite good. Sure, we have glare. They call this the anti-glare display. Guess what? It's still pretty glary. It's shiny, but it has really nice colors. It's sharp. It's easy on the eyes. And one thing I didn't like about previous Chromebooks, I could imagine using them for the web and even for writing a review in Google Docs, something like that, but it was murderous on the eyes. This is actually quite good. And here's an example of web page. This is our review of the NVIDIA Shield tablet. Lots of text right here, and nice and sharp and easy on the eyes. You don't see that haloing or that kind of scintillating effect you see on some cheaper Chromebooks. Can zoom just so you get it bigger. It stays nice and sharp and readable. So for those of you who are just looking for a Chromebook that had a decent display on it and wasn't as expensive as the Chromebook Pixel, well, this would be the alternative right now. So it's looking pretty good. When you are using it in tablet mode, which you might or might not choose to do, but it's pretty handy for content consumption, you have controls on the side. All ports are relatively readily available. Power button right there, your volume controls. Of course, there's also volume controls on the keyboard, but makes it handy when it's in tablet mode. We have USB, high-speed 3.0 port here, full-size HDMI 1.4 or lock slot. And on the other side, SD card slot, USB 2.0 port, power out on that. So if you want to charge your smartphone or something, you can. There's your combo headphone microphone jack, and it uses rectangular Lenovo style charging connector and has a compact power brick on it. So everything is accessible. This blank right here looks like it would be for wired Ethernet, though that is not actually available on the machine. You can also use this in presentation mode like so. Standard yoga stuff going on there. And if you're using it in presentation mode, you might want to do something like play or watch a video. So let's check out our video review of the HTC One M8 for Windows to see how the speakers sound and see how it plays. And today we're going to look at the HTC One M8. So now we're playing it at 720p. That's right. Well, full screen it since it's a 720p display. Maybe love that was available on Android, but now it's available for you Windows Phone folks. So decent speakers on there and gets the job done. Nice looking display for watching video as well. Now, for those of you who want to hear a little music, you got Google Play Music available right here. Obviously, you can do things like streaming Spotify, Pandora, all that sort of thing too. You can put your music on an SD card as well. Given that there's only 16 gigs of internal flash storage, you're probably going to be using storage cards for all of your media when possible. And there's a 720p webcam up here, so you can Google chat, video chat to your heart's content with folks if you want. So since this is Chrome OS, I hope most of you know by now that this is really a cloud-based operating system. You have Chrome OS built in the machine itself, and pretty much everything I do requires an internet connection. Now you can do offline work in Google Documents, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint compatible products right there. Some image editing, but really it depends on having a network connection. Most everything is accomplished, or really everything, inside of the Chrome web browser. So if you're working on Google Docs, you're going to do it in the web browser. If you're working on image editing, you're going to do it inside of this web browser. Even if you go to settings, it launches over here, and then it'll bring up some dialogues on the machine itself. So this is not a machine where you go and get your Photoshop CD and you install Photoshop on it. This is not like Mac OS X or Windows in that respect at all. It is a cloud operating system with, well, the nice thing is that you're not responsible for taking care of this machine or administering the software. It keeps itself up to date. You don't have to install any programs other than the Chrome extensions that you want. They can add some functionality, but on the other hand, you just can't go and buy any application you want and throw it on here. So it has modest utility. Again, that's what makes it perfect for schools where they don't need a whole lot of custom applications on here. Just get some MS Office work done, get the web done, play some videos, that sort of thing. You can load videos on an SD card and you can play them just fine with this. You can view photos that it's on an SD card. So for content consumption, it works out quite well. And you have the pervasive strip down here for navigation. Of course, we have the Chrome web browser, we have a Gmail shortcut, we got Google Plus Hangouts, we have the YouTube that we're using, our other applications right here, which are really Chrome extensions again. So there's our Google Docs, Google Photos, access to files, web-based services like Netflix, you can do that on here too, which is always nice. And Evernote has the web extension Clipper, second screen right there. Google Play service is also available to you. So if you have an Android phone, if you bought into the Google Play ecosystem for your movies, your TV shows, that sort of thing. And we even have a couple of games like Bejeweled. And access to things like Flickster. So Flickster really will just take you to the, well, Flickster webpage right there. In a sort of customized view that works out for the browser. Actually, it could use up more of the screen in my opinion, but that's the way Chrome OS works. You have access to your account right there. Upload stuff to Google, power, Wi-Fi. Now, nice thing about this is it comes with Intel Wi-Fi AC 7260, so you have dual band AC Wi-Fi on here. Given how dependent this is on a network connection, that's a good thing to have a good network card. You do get that here, and Bluetooth 4.0 is built in combo with that card. 4 gigs of RAM in here, so pretty healthy. A lot of Chromebooks only have 2. This guy is actually a bit of a powerhouse as Chromebooks go, and that does affect battery life a bit, and we'll get to that. First, it has a quad-core Celeron. Now, this is the latest generation Celeron that is part of the Bay Trail M CPU series. It's the upscale cousin to the Intel Atom that operates at higher voltage. And that's the Celeron N2930. 1.83 gigahertz Celeron N2930 as a quad-core with burst to 2.16 gigahertz. Intel HD graphics. So among Chromebooks, for those of you who do more image manipulation, anything like that, more multitasking, this one again would be a good choice. For $455 versus say $300 for your average Chromebook, you're getting a lot more performance here. The question is, do you need more performance? One thing that everybody can enjoy is the really good ThinkPad keyboard that's on here. If we put it back in traditional laptop mode, typical ThinkPad keyboard, high key relief, smile-shaped keys, a real pleasure to type on, even though it's only 11.6 inches. Boy, Lenovo does a great job. It's a typist's dream. It's really nice. Likewise, the trackpad, large, smooth, easy to operate. Generally, Chromebooks have had pretty good trackpads, but the keyboards, depends on which one you're looking at. They're not bad. They're not superb. This is superb keyboard on here. So for those of you who are into content creation, you're going to like that a lot. Machine weighs 3.1 pounds, which is around par for the course for an 11.6-inch machine, be it Windows, Chrome OS, or anything else. Especially for convertible, they're going to weigh a little bit more because you have the beefy hinge design, and the fact that this is a beefy ThinkPad sort of machine, it's just going to be a little bit heavier. Now, battery life. It has a 4-cell battery that's nominally sealed inside. Not too hard to take the bottom off. There's several screws here on the bottom that hold this bottom panel on. 4-cell lithium-ion battery. Lenovo says up to 8 hours on a charge. That is pretty optimistic. I find I get more like 6 hours on a charge with brightness set to around 60%. The IPS display may be fairly sharp among Chromebooks. It's very sharp, certainly, and pretty colorful, but it's moderately bright. It's not super duper bright, so I tend to not really want to go below 60% myself. Now, those of you who have eagle eyes, you might be able to go down to 40% or so to try to extend battery life a bit more. So while some Chromebooks running on, what are essentially really underpowered CPUs or mobile OS CPUs will get much better battery life than this guy right here. So if you really need stamina, this might not be your first choice. So who's the ThinkPad Yoga Chromebook 11e for? Obviously, Lenovo has the education market in mind, and that's certainly just fine right there. But for those of you who are not in the education market, if you have some more money to spend, you don't really need the $250 to $300 price as your maximum right there. You want something a little bit more rugged with a much better display, and you're really interested in Chrome OS, well, it would be for you, obviously. For those of you who are just trying out Chrome OS for the first time, you might not want to invest quite as much into a Chromebook just to see if you like it or not. But if you're already aware of what it's about, you're fine with the cloud computing way that things work on this, and you say, I don't want a crappy display, and I don't want something that looks ultra cheeseball, so when I whip this out on the commuter train, everybody looks at me like, why are you using that little plasticky thing? Well, that would be for you right here. Sturdy, good ports, fast Wi-Fi on here, 4 gigs of RAM, faster than average CPU. It's also for those of you who are looking for the most horsepower you can get in a Chromebook. Granted, there's not much that really taxes a Chromebook a whole lot, but some people do like to multitask, have a lot of tabs open. They've got Picasso photo editing going on. At the same time, you've got some Google Docs, and you've got your web browsing sessions, and be playing some music, because you can, of course, do that. You can play Google Play Music using the Chrome extension and Chrome web browser in this too. For those of you who are going to be doing all of those things, well, it's easy to recommend this. So that's the Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga 11e Chromebook. It's available now. Again, $455, a little more expensive than the average Chromebook, but also much more solidly built. And to me, most importantly, a very nice IPS display. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Don't forget to visit our website for the full written review and subscribe to our YouTube channel.